But yeah, just to start this out, the whole fucking there was a meme on Facebook saying, "Why can you burn the American flag, but it's considered a hate crime to burn the pride flag?" And I feel like that would be an interesting thing to talk about, and kind of how that ties into other things.
Like okay, when I think of it, I don't think interesting in the way that like I'm going to learn something or I'm going to get some useful information. More so, just to establish how absolutely fucking incredibly stupid some people are, and it is really just weird to me. And I'm sorry that I'm getting sidetracked right now. I'm actually watching a snail eat a cucumber, and it's actually
Oh,
fucking really insane. So
and here
it
we
doesn't
see the
even.
positive side of Facebook.
Yes, yeah. I just the whole that point is very dear to me, and I'm gonna finish it. But like this snail, like it's like absorbing the cucumber. I think it's fucking crazy. But no, anyways, it weirds me out. I get if I may. I mean, you want me to kind of like hop on it first, or you
Yeah,
want?
go for it, man. I've been
I don't know,
talking
but
about
like
it all fucking day.
I actually haven't seen the picture or the meme or whatever it is, so you could probably like run it my way,
I was
and
about
I
to
could
say, my
see.
boy, I'll send that bitch right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess, but just from what you've explained to me, I'm pretty sure I got the point of it. And it's trying to say, well, if the fucking liberals are saying that like it's fine to, burn the American flag because you're representing actual, like, you're representing the, freedom and the blah 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 and go so on and so forth. If they're going to use that argument, they're like, well, what about my prejudiced view of hating gays and being against the movement and burning their flag because there is totally an equivalency there. Like it doesn't make sense, man. It really doesn't because as I told you before in the messages that we've had back and forth, um, there is a drastic difference between the symbol that is the American flag that represents a lot of the civil liberties and a lot of the history and a lot of the rights in which are that I guess are the foundation of what being an American is and what America is just as a whole. That is completely fucking different. Is like if we understand history, if you've gone to elementary school, if you understand the history of that, like where the colonists came from a prior government in which you couldn't criticize or you couldn't publicize any critical information at all without being criminalized and or probably fucking silenced permanently. So understanding the context based on what the symbol represents, the American flag, it makes complete sense that if somebody is to burn that American flag that represents our government, which is about freedom and freedom of speech and allowing freedom of the press and allowing people to criticize whatever they want, it makes complete sense to say, well, okay, yeah, that's your right to protest because you're literally protesting your government, which is what the whole fucking point is. But that doesn't apply with the pride flag. If you're protesting the pride flag, what you're doing ultimately is you are establishing that you are against the equality movement that is supposed to bring, I guess, consideration and to bring understanding to the minority of people that have for a good portion of time have been affected by a very large amount of inequality in society. Sorry if I did go on a little bit too long with that.
That's okay, because it gave me time to find actual citation. Like
Yeah.
the whole, I believe it was Texas v. Johnson, where they ruled that it was protected under symbolic speech via the First Amendment. So, on one hand, you have people who are self proclaimed patriots saying that you deserve to be kicked out of the country or that you're unpatriotic for doing the exact thing that is outlined in the Constitution. So if let's say that you disagree with your country, you don't like what they're doing, probably the most patriotic thing you can do is tell them that you don't like what they're fucking doing. And the best way to do that is to actively burn the thing that they constantly say symbolizes those freedoms. I
Yeah,
and then you're comparing that to burning a symbol of a group that is an oppressed minority, a symbol that doesn't do anything but symbolize, hey, we deserve to be treated like real people, and you're going, no, I disagree with that. You're an asshole. That's a literal hate crime.
yeah, it literally is a completely different statement politically because it's not you're not being a righteous individual upholding your constitutional rights by going fuck the gays. That's not the same thing at all. It's really what it's just it doesn't I can't I feel like that I'm just entertaining a little bit too much just of a conversation about this because of just how incredibly straightforward and simple it seems to me. Like Now, look, here's the deal. Like, if you want to, here's the thing, right? Like, this boils down to the whole freedom of just the dialogue and criticisms or whatever. Like, if you want to be a dick and if you want to be openly against something that is only meant to establish the the that this group exists and that these people are around and that they're not just they're not like just I don't know, they're a group to be considered and that they should be allowed and equal in society as just as much as the norm. Like, it just, I don't know, man. Like, it absolutely fucking blows my mind that this is something I even have to talk about. But yeah, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It's just so weird because if you went to the comments on where that
Oh,
meme was originally posted, you would see people saying stuff like, "If you light the American flag on fire, you should be set on fire." And it's like, what?
holy shit! It's fucking dear Christ. Would that not be fascism? Is like
Yeah, that's
perfectly?
that's that's actually what we kind of touched on in our last episode, where we were talking about how a lot of the stuff that the right is doing is kind of fascist in nature,
Mm.
and trying to silence people who are criticizing the government is completely on par with fascism.
And the fucking hilarious thing is the general group of people that are like this on the right conservative side. They will make the biggest criticisms toward the left by saying, "Oh, all these regressive lefties are trying to silence our Christianity and our rights and our beautiful our beautiful things that we do or whatever conservatives do." Oh fuck! All right, well I guess we're gonna just that's fine.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, so they'll be the first people to be like, "Well, liberals are silencing. They're up for censorship," and yeah, then of course literally be censoring shit. It's so fucking ironic, dude.
Or they'll take segments of a bunch of students saying that a professor should be fired for saying racist things, and they're like, no one should lose their job for voicing their opinion. And then you have people who are kneeling during the national anthem, and they're like, fire them.
Yeah, like that is the most. That's the weirdest thing to me, right? Like now, I don't really know if kneeling is going to. Now, I'll be honest. As far as people kneeling nowadays, like trying to perpetuate the initial protest, I don't really think that's going to have much of an impact, or at least it doesn't seem to. But it did get the point across, like when Colin Kaepernick did the entire protest to begin with. Like it got the point across. He did something that was taboo, and he protested in such a silent, such a respectful, and such a calm way for a genuine problem, right? A genuine issue about like how the discrimination in the legal system, or how the legal system seems to be founded in a way that disproportionately affects minorities. And just by addressing that and crime and violence towards police officers, I'm sorry, not towards, and violence from police officers towards black people, by doing so in the most calm fashion ever, people had an outrage that you'd think the initial protest would have been like a dude, I don't know, like stomping on a baby or something. That's like it's basically like what fucking people were responding to. Like it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And then somebody literally says racist shit that could easily be enabling and easily be influencing other people to think in a racial fashion. And then they're like, whoa, hey, whoa, hold on, let's look at the context here. It's like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely weird to me how the group that constantly screams about double standards is the most guilty of perpetuating double standards.
Yeah, I see, especially like just because I think honestly the those righter most conservative viewpoints are pretty much absolutely ridiculous, and I especially on the social level. Now we could argue, or I guess you could argue, some more conservative policies in relation to like I guess like capitalism or economics, but that's something that I'm grossly ill-informed about. So as far as the social policies, all of them are archaic and ridiculous and traditionalist and nonsensical. And they generally, if you line them side by side, you'll probably find an inconsistency in the reasoning somewhere. Just because of the nature of the thought process. It's just it's hilarious to me.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some form of disconnect from reality whenever you take people like that who say things that genuinely don't make sense in most avenues of thought and they
Yeah.
completely perpetuate it as if it's some kind of objective reality, and anyone who disagrees with them is just delusional.
All right, I'm sorry. I have to add one fucking thing that is based, but it's about this fucking. Come here. Go look at this shit. Look at this. This fucking thing right here. This shit. It looks like a fucking dude. Every time I come from this angle, or like every time it looks like a dude from the angle. Like if I'm, I don't know, if I'm like over here and I'm coming up,
I
it almost always looks like a dude, and I freak out every fucking time,
I
dude.
actually thought it was a guy, and I looked at him, and if I caught it on camera well enough, I'm going to put a replay in as you're saying that, just because of how
I mean,
perfect it is. But yeah, that scared the fuck out of me.
I've noted it a billion times. Every time I pass it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's whatever. It's just fucking not a dude. And then like I forget every time, and I'm like, fuck. And then I jump and do this spaz thing that I do whenever I don't know. I don't know. It's not good. I'm very bad at this game. But yeah, basically, back on the points about the inconsistencies and conservative reasoning, and not just conservative. I mean, it really just depends on exactly who you're talking to, I would say. But like, there are inconsistencies in all kinds of reasoning. But man, I tell you, dude, some of the dumbest shit and some of the dumbest views that I've seen perpetuated are from, and like I just can't. I just don't think you can hold them and just be a reasonable person. I really don't.
You know,
That may be a little bit too far, and I may be oversimplifying, but I'm sorry. Like if we could go point by point on conservative values, and I could explain why a lot of them are just fucking garbage.
I think that's a good little disclaimer to add that we're not just bullying the right,
Yeah.
but it's not simply about us disagreeing with them from just like an ideology perspective. It's more so about the fact that comparing the two sides, quote unquote, because the fact that there are sides is completely dumb to begin with. But comparing the two, it seems like the right is probably the most logically inconsistent.
Well, it seems that if you're going to have an like innovation as far as the social concepts and exactly how we progress in society, clearly things are changing, and things are going to continue to change. The more sophisticated and the more educated and so on. Like the more that we get this way, things are going to change. And if you have these traditionalist viewpoints where you idolize some of the most archaic, some of the most discriminatory, some of the most prejudiced views, um, that I've seen, and like if you keep those idolized, and I guess it really just depends on what we're talking about here, but like is if you keep those idolized, we're not going to progress. And some things that you have to just drop, like being against or being like some people, a lot of people on the right, of course, are religious, and like sure, if you want to be religious, whatever, that's not the fucking problem. It's the fact that there are a good portion of them that will, at least with their religiosity, disagree about things like climate change and the whether or not they think evolution should be taught in schools. And then you've got the death penalty, and then you've got their stance on abortion, which is usually, not always, but usually in religious grounding. So you can go point by point by your typical social view, and it's just it, I don't think most of them are easy. Like, I don't think you can implement most of them into a civil society, especially if we're trying to progress.
Yeah, I definitely don't understand how you can talk so much about how, the Constitution is the greatest document ever written. Our founding fathers knew what they were talking about. And then whenever they quote things like how we should stay away from political parties or how we shouldn't let religion, have a place in our legislative process, they completely ignore that. Like,
Oh, of course.
it's like they're very selective, especially like if you compare it to science. There are certain things that they'll call to science for, and then certain things they'll completely ignore science for, like
Sure,
the whole
sure, yeah.
climate change thing you were just talking about.
Hmm. Yeah, that's your typical fucking confirmation bias. You pick and choose things that directly support your narrative because they directly support your narrative, and they give you, and like that's when things matter, and that shows a serious inconsistency in just pretty much any reasoning ever. If you like only take bits and pieces of information from sources that you otherwise would disagree with on things that aren't your viewpoints, if you take them to validate your viewpoints and at least don't make a valuable distinction between the two, then you're literally being like contradictory in your views, and it's not going to work. And usually, and from at least from the dialogues that I've dealt with, and just from what I've familiarized myself with, a lot of it just is grounded in not being educated or not being educated well enough, because so much of information is perpetuated in a fashion of like in like propaganda sense, and people just buy into things and they just accept it is literally just they inhale and regurgitate just garbage from either social media platforms or influential speakers, and they just there's no, I guess, there's no critical thinking being implemented on the individual level.
Yeah, and then it appeals to the people who want to think things, but they don't want to have to think about things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They
Yeah, they
want to
want to
have
have.
opinions without justifying any of them.
Yeah, you're right. Like this always goes back to the funny fucking like Louis C.K. bit where he talks about he just wants his believies because they make him feel good and he likes having them. He doesn't believe any of it. He just wants to have them. That's really what these fucking people are doing. All right, I'm sniping him with a fucking Spitfire. That's how you know you're bad.
Yeah, and it's something that you can only see from like the most sanctimonious reaches of the human psyche, where it's like my opinion is morally just and yours is completely insane, and if you disagree with me, you probably should leave the country.
Yeah, right, right. It's like it's literally like a take it or leave it sort of thing. And like if you look at the foundation of the United States and what it is, it's a democratic republic. So like you have on the individual level a very very important role technically, and one of the most powerful things you could do, which is to vote on things and to have and to educate yourself on policy and on what you want to be implemented on the political level, right? That's a really big deal. And then when people are voicing criticisms that they, because look, America is not fucking perfect. And no matter what anybody says, like, if you believe that, then you're literally brain dead. Then you need to go get a checkup or a CT scan or something because you're fucking retarded. If you think that like we've got everything correct, and if you criticize anything that we've got laid out in our beautiful immaculate foundation, then that means that you're fucked up. You're out of line because objectivity. No, that's just not how it is. And if we're going to establish that there may be some things wrong, and like I said, if you can't see that there are some issues with like the criminal justice system, and like there are problems with like redlining and gerrymandering, and the voter system, like it's like electoral college, I guess you want to go there. There are a lot of things that need to be addressed and fixed, or like PAC money and corporatism. Is that what it is? Things like that, right? Those are some issues that need to be addressed, and the only way to really do this is to speak about it and to criticize it. And if you literally can't do that without being told to get the fuck out of the country, like this is literal censorship.
Yeah, and it gets even worse when you're a member of Congress and you're being told to go back where you came from when you were born here for voicing your opinion on how we
Yeah,
should be doing things. In like the most normative sense, doing your job, you get told that you should go back where you came from when you were born in this country. Like that's the type of shit I fucking love.
yeah, that it is absolutely ridiculous. And have you seen like Trump has been losing it lately, man? He's been really losing it about the backlash that he's been getting for his racist statements. He has been fucking going nuts. And after we die a horrific and embarrassing death, I will
Behind you.
continue. Okay, well then,
Oh, that
there we go.
timing.
I almost that was prophetic. Um, uh, yeah. So, but it's he of course he's like livid and he's freaking out and he's pointing at the left and complaining about the fucking. They call them the squad, the four congresswomen. I don't know why did they do that? Do you know why?
Because
Like, is it just because they're like a like they're I guess they're new, right? They're like new in the positions that they hold.
I guess I maybe
I don't know.
I
I
thought
just
that it was like a quip about how like younger people will refer to their friends as their squad, and they're trying to say, look at these shitty millennials giving their opinions, the shitty squad, trying to like use buzzwords to let their following know that these younger people's opinions should be completely discarded because they're younger.
yeah, that is annoying as shit too. Because like as much as I was an absolute incompetent prick when I was about teenage, I oof, sorry about the birds. I knew a lot more than most people at my age at the time, and I had some valid points and some decent most actually. If you wouldn't mind, I gotta go do something super fast. I know this is not for super great for the recording, but it's just I have to do this. So
Oh,
hold on.
that's okay. We'll do a slight intermission.
Had to calm the birds down and then get me a can of heart attack fluid. So yeah,
It's all good.
what was I saying?
we were
Not exactly
talking.
remember where I was.
We were talking about the squad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Damn. I've heard a lot of people even that like are in like supportive of those people refer to them as the squad. So like I don't know if that's just some I don't know if I'm just like completely off. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I don't know, but with that, I think it was going somewhere with that. I don't know, probably something with Trump and because like I don't know, be as unoriginal as always, addressing the beating the dead horses as much as possible. But yeah, man, it's just it's quite outlandish the statements, and it's clear. Now I can't say this for sure. This is super inductive, but based on his behavior alone, it really does seem. Now I was on the fence whenever some people would argue that he was a racist. Like at the very beginning, it was like his campaign and shit. Because like I was like, okay, maybe he's just really dumb and he doesn't understand. Um, and he like actually thinks that other people like other cultures or other governments are like are fucked and like yeah that's kind of like a nationalistic sort of issue but I didn't know if he was like straight outright racist but this is something that's incredibly telling because like he just won he didn't because like you know Trump is the guy to verify information but he didn't go out of his way at all and it wouldn't even be out of his way like he didn't even make any attempt whatsoever to see like whether or not he was saying was fucking made any sense or not. He just was like, oh, they're kind of brown and one's a Muslim. Ugh, fucking Muslims, dude. So like, yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like he just assumed solely that they need to go back to their countries and fix their country's problem.
Yeah,
Like no, any. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, especially if you kind of look into it a little bit, the countries he's referencing, for the most part, are countries in regions we destabilized.
Oh,
So he's
oh
saying
yeah, that's a little awkward.
go back and fix the country that our country fucked up, and then tell us how to not fuck up another country that we fucked up. Oh,
Yeah, and then even if like there was like a genuine, say they were from those countries, right? Like or something like that. That those aren't their countries anymore. They live in the United States. They're United States citizens. Even the one that uh Omar, I know her. The last name is Omar. I don't
I
fucking know the
I
first one.
believe
I
it's
always
pronounced Ilhan.
Ilhan. Okay, yes. So yeah, she came from Somalia when she was 17, and she immigrated here legally, but she is now a citizen, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. So she
She's
has just as much of a right to talk about exactly what are some serious issues with the current Trump administration and the current political system and she's every right to do so just as much as anybody else who's even like fucking born here. And of course, one of the most I think I actually said this in the last one, the last thing we talked about, but it is really funny how Melania, she immigrated here when she was like in her like late 30s or like mid 30s,
I believe
and
2006 was the
yeah,
actual
yeah,
year.
and she was it was a few years after Ilhan Omar, um, and she's literally like this that's like literally the same thing she literally legally immigrated here in the same way and for some reason no, I feel like probably a racist or a racial reason Trump has an issue with it on yeah, just,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference becomes one of them is publicly criticizing him, and he don't like that.
yeah right he's got to if anybody even has any because he's the gold standard right he is I maybe he thinks that he's like the fucking beauty standard for American politics. And he thinks that he's just got it all down correct. And if anybody criticizes him, then he's got it. Even if that were the case, like the way that he goes about criticizing people is just so incompetent and completely fucking counterproductive. And it's inflammatory, and all it is just to spur up drama and to I guess get people that he knows are like his sycophants and that are just dogmatically worshiping him almost like a goddamn deity will just go and support him insanely and so much so that it doesn't really matter what he says even though there are people out there that are going to fact check him and like address his garbage there's so many people that don't fucking care so like the masses are powerful and I don't know I just think that just by that alone just shits out a bunch of fucking ridiculous garbage.
I
That,
mean,
or he's just really dumb and just doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
yeah. What's people always saying about, or well, I guess, yeah. What are people always saying about Trump? He's a businessman. So applying
Yeah.
that same logic, he probably understands what his market is, and that's why he's saying all of these things because he knows who he's pandering to.
It's possible, yeah. Or um, he's aware that. Ooh, there's a death box over here.
Oh no,
See,
I got
shit.
scooned. They've scooned me.
They schooned you.
Yep.
Good. I don't even know what the hell that means, but I think I have to save you.
I'm just gonna run for my life. I don't.
That's a good idea.
I
You know
didn't
what?
really have a plan going into this.
Yeah.
It's a bloodhound. Oh, and he has friends. Oh,
Oh,
he's
okay.
got
All
so
right.
many friends.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Getting geeked. All right. I'm get the hell
I
out of here.
have no friends. Your boy needs to heal. There's enemies all over that place. I'm gonna just
Yeah,
abandon
I'm
this
getting the
area.
fucking shit out of here, man. I'm gone. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm hiding this tree right here.
But yeah, there's another meme we were talking about that I want to reference. It was comparing deportations under the Bush administration leading up, like through the Clinton, the Obama, or well, I guess starting at the Clinton administration, going through the Bush administration to the Obama administration, and then comparing like Trump's numbers. But they didn't give any context. They weren't talking about, who the deportations were focusing on or acknowledging the fact that there's been like a downward trend as far as
Oh,
the number of deportations.
oh, yeah. I don't know the I'm not familiar with the number of deportations exactly, but I do know at least somewhat ties into that. The number of actual illegal immigrants immigrating here is has been like at a progressive low. At least it's like been gradually decreasing. And of course, there's just like with the whole El Paso. I think this actually was maybe where some of the stats came from. But like, I think they actually no, I think they're separate. Never mind. My memory on this is a little hazy, but I know that whenever Trump was fucking speaking his garbage of maybe a year and a half, he basically took some statistics completely out of context, of course, because that's just kind of what you do whenever you're fucking.
No, God.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
Use my jump pad. Yeah, there you go, buddy.
I went the wrong way.
However, you went away that was at least away from the other motherfuckers. So that's like at least a little bit progress.
Watch this. They're not even gonna acknowledge this. They're gonna be fighting each other, and I'm just scoop on by. Later, nerds.
Oh fuck.
This is the part where I get shot in the back of the head.
Well,
But yeah,
zigzaggy.
don't
Zigzag
quote me on
animals.
this, but I was reading up on the numbers earlier whenever I came across the meme, but I believe under the Bush administration there was somewhere around like 10 million total deportations, and under the Obama administration it was 5 million.
Oh.
So the number was cut in half. And if you look at the people that the Obama administration was focusing on, it was people who were considered priority one, which is repeat offenders, people with criminal history, or national threats. So, and
I guess you could.
that number accounted for a good 80% of the, almost 80, over 80% of the total number of people they were deporting. Whereas Trump is just focusing on any illegal immigrant.
Yep, just all of them. Just get rid of all of them because they're just a net loss. They're a net bad to society, even though generally this isn't like a supported belief or supported as far as like the majority of people who I guess have a good foundation in economics.
Not
Like,
even
they don't
economics,
support
common
this.
sense.
I mean, like they contribute to the growth of the actual economy itself, and if you allow them in, like, fuck, dude, like, come on, really? Like, but regardless, I was mentioning before is Trump took some shit out of context, basically, where there were some crime stats I think that were lowering drastically for a period of time in El Paso, possibly. I think is what I'm thinking of. I might have to verify this, so this could be completely garbage, but if I remember correctly, it was they were already lowering even before his border wall was being built, and then I guess bits of his border wall were being built around that area, and he immediately took credit for it, immediately, and was like, oh, you see, look, my wall is working. It's no fucking. that's just a good example of just butchering the fuck out of statistics.
Yeah,
Because like
I've
you have
actually I've noticed he does that a lot. He'll take trends that were happening before his presidency and then take credit for them.
Yeah, yes, of course. Because and also, this is I have to allude to this because it's something like a lot of people, I guess, are kind of laughing about. He, I guess, maybe a week ago or maybe a few days ago. I know it was quite recent. Trump posted something saying "Make America Great Again," and then everybody was losing it. It was like, it's been 2.5 years. How long is it gonna fucking take to make it great? And like, of course, he probably just said that to get everybody on his little um, mantra chanting bandwagon of like religious sycophants almost. And he probably just wants to like do. That's probably what he was going for. But regardless, he completely missed the point. And it's like, if you're still, oh, this is kind of a fuck you. Come look at this. Come back here. Come look at what the.
Talking about the buried supply crate, yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck? Are you serious, man?
It's like, could you move your foot, sir?
It's like, just why? Like, you take the time to put it there just so I can know that there's a crate there I can't fucking have. But yeah. So yeah, it's. Oh, I'm getting shooted.
Ah, I see him.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I'm missing all of my shots, but at least they know that I know that I know that they're there.
Oh.
I don't know what I just said. Oh God, no! I fucked up the drop pad.
Oh, don't be doing that. Don't be, please.
It's
That's
okay. It's okay. I got
absolutely unacceptable.
my ultimate popped. I could probably just run it.
God damn, dude. I'm fucking jealous as shit.
Eee.
You got a fucking Twinkie shield, and I'm just sitting here like a little bitch.
It's okay. I've done literally nothing with it.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if I would do anything with it. I just kind of want to have it. Ooh. Maybe I can take some pig shots at these bitch boys.
There's a bloodhound up there. Be careful. He was literally to your right there.
Well, I'm getting the fuck out of here because it just so happens to be the weapons that I have are or not the weapons are garbage. I'm garbage with these weapons, so I'm gonna go ahead and sneak my bitch ass in here. All right.
Our robot Johnson's on his way.
Damn. I wonder, like, shit. Having a robot Johnson. Gotta be a tough life.
You'd have to buy a lot of WD-40.
Yeah, it's a lot of WD-40. Oh, yeah. And I guess, like, getting rustied up, is that like a STD or something? Like, how does that work? Like, how do you handle that? And then you don't have to worry about size because you could just, like, I don't know why. You know what? I'm gonna stop right there. I don't know why the fuck I'm entertaining this conversation.
I don't know, but the only thing that I got from it was extendo penis.
Yeah, and you could have multiple as well, and they could extend in different directions, and they could, like, be different shapes. And you could just put designs on them and stuff. I mean, you could do that anyways. You could etch a fucking design into your knob, or you can pierce the goddamn thing if you really want, but I feel like there's a little bit more customization.
It's so hard to believe we were just having a serious political discussion.
Man, like, okay, a lot of our conversations are serious, but a lot of them are also really fucking degenerate. So,
it's a balancing act.
Yeah, right. It just depends. It's like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can't pick this little bitch boy
Are
up.
we or are we not in a locker room at the time?
Oh wow! grab mother.
Oh God, no.
Well, you know what? I happen to be extremely bad at this game, especially whenever I'm talking shit.
I'm playing as the character that's supposed to be proficient with the sniper rifle, but I can't hit a goddamn thing.
I'm actually Damn.
I actually hit him. I got someone! Do what you want to me, assholes. I feel useful.
This dude's OP with the fucking Hemi.
Hey, the Hemlock's a good gun.
It is. It really is. I actually am really bad with the optics that he has. He has the 2 times.
I didn't even realize the grenade until it was too late. Oh, he's gonna get fucked here, though.
Well.
The L-Star, my friend. Oh my God!
Oh. Fucking legendary. GG, buddy.
I kind of want to give him my shield. He's earned it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, possibly. Holy shit, this guy's fucking good. It'd be really, really awkward if he got domed right at that point. Oh man, that wouldn't be good.
A Pathfinder, I gave you the golden shield.
That's good. I was really, whenever I first started playing this game, I was really, really upset whenever I found out that the gold shield and the purple shield are pretty much identical as far as their durability. It's just one has a special effect. I was upset to find that out.
Oh yeah, I was too, until I realized that the special effect is you can beat the fuck out of someone to get all of your shields back.
Yes, and not to undermine that shit's fucking awesome. Absolutely.
There should be
However,
a purple shield in that box.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, fuck, that was probably a bad idea.
Did you shoot?
Yeah, accidentally. Luckily, I'm no little bitch. Except I died.
You just gave me a baby heart attack.
Baby heart attack?
Yeah, it's the saddest of heart attacks.
Is it, though? I mean, like, we weren't... I mean, it's not like baby has to go home to his fucking, like, wife and kids and...
You don't know
put
that.
food on the table. Alright, we just had a robo extendo penis conversation.
What if
really
we live in like
more...
the Boss Baby universe and they all got shit to do, huh? Did you ever think
look,
about
first,
that?
You've already engaged in an extreme test, and I'm going to cast like fucking just innumerable amounts of judgment on you for that, because we don't talk about Boss Baby. Ever since it came out, it was already at that point wrong to speak about it. So if you have anything to say on that shit, you come over and I'll help you out.
I can only imagine whoever pitched that movie is gonna get stoned to death at some point.
Well, I mean, they probably had to have been stoned to near death to make the film. So, like, a sane human being doesn't come up with something like that. Okay, now look, I'm being way unfair and I'm hopping on the meme bandwagons right now, but I actually have not seen the movie. I've only seen, like, maybe a review or two about the movie. And from my understanding, it's just, it doesn't seem very enticing, like at all.
It's I feel like the best part about it is the concept. The concept is it's pretty funny to play around with, but the execution of it was really weird. It was a weird fucking movie, man. And I only say that because I've seen it like 3 times because I have nothing better to do. I didn't mean to use that. I believe we are being pushed.
Yeah, little bitch boy, fucking Wraith being a little twat. All right.
Bloodhound versus Bloodhound, and he's gonna beat me because I'm bad. Oh my god. Okay, fine.
All right, now I gotta get the fucking hell. Oh god, no! That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, all right, that was almost really fucking. I went in his portal by accident.
Oh, our teammate killed the Bloodhound that I was shooting at. Oh, he's gonna go win the game in spite of us.
Yeah, he's I dropped.
Oh god, no. I'm bad. This poor guy had to be stuck with us.
Fuck.
He could have won if he had a competent team.
Yeah, honestly, if we just, I bet he probably would have been fine if we just didn't like exist.
Game over.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty usual though. It wasn't bad. I mean, got 6 RP points, whatever the hell that means. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell this fucking ranking system's even supposed to be. But yeah, I think there was something we were hopping on, some garbage we were bitching about.
We've jumped around quite a bit. I don't remember.
Well, I mean, this is pretty much how our regular conversations go, so at least there's some transparency.
That's a fair point.
All right. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, let's see here.
I don't know. People seem really confused about what exactly is considered freedom of speech. Because saying that everyone from a fucking country is dirty and vile, that's freedom of speech. But using freedom of speech for the thing it was intended for, not freedom of speech.
Yeah, no, you are degrading our American values, and you are you hate the troops. It's all like I don't know, man. Like I've it's really weird how many times I see like veterans and their significance only really matter whenever it's just for political banter or like whatever it's fuck how do I word this used as like virtue signaling. I think.
Especially when they support Trump, who actively insults people who are veterans.
Yeah, man. He literally, I think he said, didn't he say to, don't, hold on. I got this. He died recently. Fuck, what is his name? God damn it. John McCain. John McCain. I think he said that, it was John McCain, right? Who was
Yeah.
the, POW. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that, well, real, war heroes don't get caught. I think that's not it's a super paraphrase, but that's essentially the point he was making, and that is such a fucked up thing to say, man. Because like, what does he think that like? How does he think the military is supposed to work? Like you're supposed
That
to just
actually. You just reminded me of something I wanted to talk about. Something that unfortunately people I'm related to have shared. Another
Ooh,
funny little Facebook meme. It was talking
jeez.
about how it was talking about the whole America First thing and how if you don't like it, you should leave. But
Right.
I went in and I researched it a little bit, and apparently where that phrase came from is it came from the 70s. That's where it originated, and it was to discredit people who are criticizing the Vietnam War. So
Oh,
the people who are defending Trump by saying if you don't like it, leave, are perpetuating the same slogan that was created for the war that Donald Trump ducked out of.
yeah. There's another thing that's like that too, where Trump used a particular slogan that was specifically used in a white supremacist context in history. I'm gonna have to see if I can remember exactly what the phrasing was that he used. It was it love it or leave it? I think that's what it was. I think we're talking about like two parts of the same thing. Shit.
It very well could be because
I know I saw Pac-Man put a video on. Well, I don't know if you've watched David Pac-Man, but I would very much highly recommend his material. He's a very informed and very he's a smart guy, you know. And he's cool to watch. But yeah, he made a video on that, and I guess he Trump used, and it's very possible this just could have been based off of his own idiocy, because man, this is it's really hard to try and criticize a person who might genuinely be so incompetent that their political opinions are damn near completely concordant with like basically like retarded babbling, or just really like they just shit out just words at a almost overwhelming level with no real comprehension as to what the fuck it is they're saying. All right, so
yeah,
I'm
but
inside this building. I think there's some bitches in here.
on the roof.
All right, well I'm about to come geek them.
I don't know. A lot of their word choice and their rhetoric, it seems weirdly specific. Like the amount of dog whistling taking place is kind of hard to ignore.
I was getting shot.
No weird Hitler gorilla man.
Oh my. All right, all right, all right. Let's see if I can heal myself just a little bit before I do this. All right, there's another. We're getting third part. Okay, yep, there we go. There we go. There's a third party in that giant ween that they just forcefully inserted into my fucking esophagus. Yeah, that's nice. Man, god damn, every time, this game is like the worst game to play while addressing serious fucking like some pretty in-depth, sophisticated conversations. But it was about the Trump shit, right? So like about whether or not he even knows what he's saying, and I just don't know. It's like I fuck. I know with every human being ever, I kind of have to infer that what they're saying to me is like legit, but god damn, he's so unclear and so uninformed and uneducated and like and just assertive and in a way that just you just it, it can't be because some people posited the idea that maybe he was just especially in his early campaign maybe he was just saying and doing things to elicit a very very inflammatory response that would then boost his campaign. Like, some people were saying that, right, saying that he was like a secret intellectual, and that clearly isn't the case now. Obviously he's definitely an idiot. There is no denying this. It's just to what fucking degree is he actually aware of this shit that he says and like what impact it, to my understanding, very very little of very little does he actually get exactly what the significance of his statements are.
I mean, yeah, just compare that to like we were talking about in the other video that I'm sure anyone watching this has seen because we have dedicated fans already.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think like about what 5,000, 6,000 fans. Is like what we
when
got.
whenever he was asked if he would tone it down because of someone taking his words and then using them as justification for why they should murder a bunch of people, he went, "I could tone it up." Like what? So it's either you don't understand the gravity of your words and how people are interpreting them, or you don't care.
Yeah, definitely doesn't seem. Oh God, you know what? It's uh it's a mesmerizing, absolutely insane time that I live in, I guess, and I'm sure it's a statement anybody can really make. But holy shit, dude, it's absolutely unreal that we elected this person. We allowed them to make decisions and to speak to other foreign like powers, and this is just happening in front of my eyes, and like it's getting to the point where not only are his fans so dogmatically dedicated to his shit that they'll just not only will they eat it up, and even if it's like widely accepted that it's false, like wind turbines causing cancer, like that doesn't make any fucking sense, and there's no,
No, no,
to my
no, no.
understanding.
Not wind turbines. The sound from wind
Oh,
turbines.
right. That's yeah. So with that said, I've seen there's just no information or no confirming evidence in any way, and it's just completely easily to dismiss based on the absurdity of it. And with that said, like it's just pretty much understood, unless you're just literally you parrot Donald Trump points, which is a thing. So there's that, but it's pretty well understood that that sound, or at least very very loud sound, can cause damage to your eardrums, but they're not gonna give you fucking cancer. That requires like ionizing radiation literally to eject fucking electrons and to fuck up your actual DNA composition that causes mutations. Like that's how that
Yeah.
works.
And then if you think about it, it's weird that he had safety concerns when talking about renewable energy, but he actively advocates for sending people to coal mines.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's clean
Arguably
coal.
one of the dangerous jobs you can fucking have.
It's clean. What do you mean? It's clean coal. What are you talking about?
It's
It's like
fucking clean.
it's like nice and clean.
You're gonna make me
Um,
cry.
I don't think I'm can. I honestly, I don't think it'll. I don't think you need just me. I think you've got just by what we talked about, just thinking about that in the solitude of your room is plenty, dude. Like, maybe curled up in a corner. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I do genuinely worry. Now, I don't exactly know if it's just going to happen because of how rarely it's happened in my life and anytime recently. But like, I do genuinely have concern about him using some kind of executive action to make some kind of military advancement or strike towards either North Korea or Iran, just based on the tensions building. Like I do worry about that and exactly what the ramifications of that would be, and based on his history of being an insulting, just dramatic, like I guess dictator-like prick, in the sense of just literally indirectly threatening other already mentally unstable nation leaders, like Kim Jong Un, whenever he was beefing with him, whenever there was like a lot of the tests going on, and there was some my button's bigger than yours. Like, oh my god, dude, I couldn't believe that. It's like literal dick measuring. I just couldn't fucking.
Yeah, anytime that you
Uh,
have to like sit back and think, is my president making a dick joke? You know we've gone down a horrible rabbit hole.
I mean, it's like even if he isn't, it's just you're just saying that. What is that supposed to say? Like, oh, I can fuck you up more if you fuck me up, and like, sure, that could be a deterrent in some regards, but like with that wording, that would just piss somebody off. Like if you ever like, heard the at least in maybe when in school a long time ago, whenever somebody would just state or just say that they've got a bigger dick than you, and like they don't know, they just say it, it's just like fucking annoying, and you want to punch them in the head for it.
Yeah, it
Especially
just
if you already are mentally like unstable and have a history of such. Like, what's stopping you from just going fuck it and just like immigrating to another country and getting a different name and just launching a bunch of fucking nukes and just leaving and just being like, well, fuck the U.S. So I don't know, man. It probably won't happen. I know, but it's still something that's like.
you were talking earlier about people just like parroting Donald Trump talking points and like
Yeah.
shit that gets perpetuated by like right wing media personalities and shit like that. And
Yeah.
for the most part, I was like, nah, people don't really do that. They only share things if they actually understand them and shit like that. And then the more that I talked to those kinds of people, the more I realized I had way too high of an opinion of the general public. Like when I was talking to, and I really wanted to avoid this for the most part, but honestly, it's too pressing for me to not want to talk about it. But our buddy, our friend Ed, the conversation I had with him was physically painful. He, I, just to give context to like other people, I jokingly had stated that white people suck, and he just kind of went, yeah, but people in third world countries suck more, or he said third world countries themselves suck more. And I asked him what he meant by that, and then he started saying that he was talking about planets that are 3 planets away or some shit like that, and he was talking about some Star Trek bullshit. But
What?
the more I talked to him, it was obvious that he was actually talking about like right wing talking points, saying that actual third countries suck. Because he started saying shit like Antifa were the real
Oh,
fascists.
I mean,
And
like it's like he clearly backpedaled a fuck ton the second he got like a tiny bit of pushback on his fucking crazy statement.
yeah, and the weird thing about that is I hear constantly from people on the right about how Antifa's the real fascist. But fascism, by like the commonly accepted definition, is right wing.
I mean, yeah, it's literally authoritarian, right? That's like the point.
Yeah, and if you look at like fucking Mussolini and shit like that, it's obvious that what Antifa's doing is the polar opposite. Sure, maybe they're militant in their approach, but they're not fucking fascist.
Yeah, and also it's not like a.
Oh, a caustic just came out of nowhere. I was very confused for half a second there.
So, all right,
I'm so confused.
all right. So I have to. I think I'm going to kill myself. in a, in a dream sequence. In a daydream sequence. I'm gonna fantasize about that. Yeah, self mutilation. Now.
My dogs are barking.
Oh, poor buggers. They're all right. They'll be good.
Man,
They just love you, man.
I have a neighbor who has like 87 kids, and at any given time they're all outside just screaming.
Fuck, dude. I completely understand that, man. I live around a bunch of fucking assholes.
I'll be
dude.
right back.
It's all good.
All right, sorry about that.
Yep. It's all good.
All right, you were saying about living near assholes.
Oh yeah, I mean, seriously, man. Like, the neighborhood that I'm in now is growing. So like, they've literally for a whole subdivision, at least for roadways that they've been constructing. basically behind my little tiny neighborhood that I've been living in. They've connected that now, right? So like there are no houses there yet, but like it's going to get much larger and much fucking worse. But basically there are a lot of children here, and they just ride around on bikes and mean mug people, like where they're like, yeah, look at me on my two-wheel thing that's not even mechanical, not even like not mechanical, like, well, I mean, fuck, what's the, how would you, gas powered, not even gas powered, not even, I don't even have a license, I don't even have a job, I don't even fucking matter. And like if I died, I would just make my parents sad. Like no one would be affected negatively aside from my aside from feelings. I mean,
Alright, so
yeah. But like I said, they'll just mean mug your ass and they'll just like stare at you like you're like they're fucking badass shit. Like I don't know. I guess I did that when I was a kid, but still, man, it's like annoying as fuck. And they're okay. There's some kids, and we don't know who, but there's some fucking kids. There's like this little baby scooter, and it's just continuously being left either in front of our house or on our porch. And I just don't. We don't know why. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Maybe they're donating it to you.
I don't need what. All right.
This
I
this
grabbed
house
that-
ain't got enough scooter.
I lost it, and I was fucking mad one day, and I grabbed that bitch because it was literally on like our front porch, and I grabbed that bitch, and I was like, all right, so I just get it. Yeah, I grabbed that bitch and I fucking chucked it. I just chucked it out the goddamn out of my shit and off the property. It pissed me off, man. But yeah, anyways, like I said, I live around some shitty kids who are really loud, obnoxious, and they just like sometimes I think that, or sometimes I hope that there is some children or somebody just being stabbed horribly in the side in between one of the houses based on how fucking loudly these shitty kids scream.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it's a little shit's a joke. It's a little bit of a joke.
Christians addict to kids.tm.
I didn't say I was gonna do the stabbing. I did not say that.
It's like,
will not.
I'm not gonna
not
kill them.
no.
I just really wish somebody would.
No.
Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. He didn't even notice me.
Yeah, I didn't even notice him, so it's like mutual, I guess. Mutual. All right, so there were some people. Where are they at?
I'm coming for you, motherfucking GB.
All right, yeah, I died again. Very much a die person. All right. Well, that's wonderful. That's goddamn beautiful. So, did we die? It's not telling me.
Ah, I almost
that
killed
was
him.
dumb.
I just got killed by
That was
someone
good,
that
man.
has 7 kills.
Hey, GG, dude, that was pretty fucking good. Oh yeah, I guess. On another note, let's see here. Things that I can think about recently that have been interesting to. Damn, like I guess like what do you want to hit up topics, dude?
I don't know off the top of my head. We kind of lightly touched on most of the things I wanted to speak about.
That's good. Yeah, but I guess he's just with Ed, and like he's not a bad guy. Like he's fine. He's just like a lot of people, you know. Like I mentioned before, it's pretty clear that at least maybe he's just maybe he really is just trolling and just fucking with you like real hard in a way that's I don't know. I don't get the point. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you can make a maturity argument there, but like as far as for what it seems like to me, just because I've had a lot of experience with these kinds of people. Where they'll make like absurd statements or they'll regurgitate some pretty controversial points that they don't really understand. They just have heard and know that it's a thing you say whenever a topic is brought up, so they just kind of say it and don't really have an argument or a reasoning behind it, and they'll just say it, and of course when they get any pushback, they're like, oh well, and they'll start. And then sometimes they'll say something that's like not insanely absurd that people actually parrot. And then whenever they get like slight pushback, they'll go, oh, they'll like go on a I guess kind of like a tangent of saying incredibly absurd things to give off the impression that the initial few points they were making were also like just a troll, you know, just to fuck around.
If that was the case, sure, I'd agree with you. All right, but the more I talked to him, the more that he kind of like dug in to these points. For instance, I was comparing the fact that you have to get a license to fly a drone to the fact that you don't really necessarily need a license to own a gun. And he said to me that a person controlling a drone can judge where it goes, and if someone wanted to, they could suicide bomb the drone into a plane, and thus there are many people having to put up with it. And then he said, I feel like, and then I said, so wait, because drones can harm people, you should have a license, but you don't need a license to get a gun. And I was like, where's the logic there? And he said, because with a drone, you could easily spy on people, and then said, I don't think a gun could do that.
You don't. All right, you don't think?
And then
So
he's,
like,
and then
is he
he's,
unsure?
and then he said to me,
All right.
that no one should have to have a license to get a gun because then people are going to get a gun license and then not get a gun, as if somehow that defeats my point. And I was like, what if you applied that same logic to cars? No one should have to get a driver's license because then people would get a driver's license and then not get a car.
It,
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't Okay, like, look, I'm not. I don't want to be harsh. I don't want to be unfair. I don't want to be like look like I'm just kind of shitting on him unfairly. Like, but what the fuck? What does that mean? I don't understand. It's like I really don't. I'm really like I'm actually upset right now. Like I'm genuinely no, not but really though, like it's a hard thing to do. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually incredibly fucking because like the world becomes a lot more as much as it's like already complex and complicated and subjects are a lot more require a lot more immersive interaction with and understanding than just surface level. Whenever you really try to verify things that you actually like implement like sound or valid reasoning and you actually try to make like syllogistic arguments or you actually try to genuinely go out of your way to justify rationally your viewpoints, and of course be skeptical in a healthy way. It's really fucking hard, man. It's not easy. It's not to say that like I'm super good at it. Nobody is like perfect at it, but like it's really difficult. So I could totally see a path of least resistance sort of thing going on here, where they want the feeling of having an opinion and saying and something and making a point, and without the actual like required substantiation that would come with making said point. Like they want, it's like have you can't you have to have both. You really do. I think if you're gonna have like a meaningful conversation. But like, I'm sorry, I didn't like exactly finish. Yeah, I know I really don't mean to talk a lot. It's just, yeah, just to wrap up that, like it's really common for people to just not necessarily be informed on things and not really understand how to make decent arguments, or realize kind of like weed out what is and isn't reasonable. But just from with what Ed was saying is like I just I don't even get how that could be unreasonable. That just doesn't make sense. It just literally isn't coherent. But regardless, on a different topic, it's fucking difficult, man. It's the world, like I said, becomes much larger, much more complicated, and a lot is super fucking gray. Whenever you understand that there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of questions on all kinds of things that are even accepted widely, and it's just makes the being alive and doing anything incredibly fucking complicated. So I could totally see people just kind of like wanting to have beliefs for the feels.
I mean, yeah, that's all well and good, but if you start thinking that we should pass legislation based on your feelings, then why?
I don't care about your feelings except my feelings. Facts.
Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings, but as soon as you make me feel bad, I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum on the air.
Yeah, but the SJWs or whatever, because fucking what? Yeah, but
That's so
that's a
annoying
word
to
that
me.
I'm like, sorry.
The fact that you have people like Ben Shapiro or you have like Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA who constantly like project shit onto the left and they're like, oh, they love to be victims, they just want to be victimized, and then every turn they go, but what about me?
Yeah, they're like, but I'm being it's like my words are being silenced and I'm being wronged, but they're trying to be have a victim complex. But like that's just another one of those inconsistent things, It's just sad, it really is. But it's
I think that's a big problem with how much people can get away with inconsistencies, especially in the political climate. Because
Well, sure, yeah.
there's a difference between having an opinion and then learning more information on a subject and then changing your opinion because everyone does that, and then having an opinion and then completely flip-flopping on it once you get challenged on that opinion.
That, and you also need to know, people need to understand what an opinion is. Because there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding for what, okay, there isn't just this dichotomy of opinion and fact. It's just like, it isn't just that simple where opinions are always feels and always subjective. Well, I mean, yeah, they are subjective, but like opinions are not just all feels and based off of just feeling alone. Like that isn't how they work. And not all opinions are just equal. And that's something that like I can say is a really big problem with at least my education growing up, because that's what they taught. They taught that like um, opinions are just like unsubstantiated positions that you can have that don't need to be challenged and don't need to be and don't necessarily have like a basis in fact. You just kind of believe it because you just as much as you one day are kind of happy and maybe one day a little sad, and as much as yeah, this is basically like the how it was set up for me and when I was growing up. But they're not that simple. There are more valuable opinions than others, and a lot of, and this is the reason why, of course, they take expert opinions in fucking court, because they are experts and know a lot about their field. So they know a lot about their field, a lot about the information. Then there's a good chance that like whatever opinion that they may have about it, it should at least be taken into consideration. So a lot of that is to be said here, right? If you have like a solid grounding for reason, like a solid reasoning, and you could say that you've taken your time to research information to a good degree, and then you make an ought statement, some kind of normative claim, or some have like a normative belief about things are or what things should be. That
Uh, Discord's continuing its
yeah.
campaign to destroy us.
Anyways, some
Oh God.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to bullshit. Oh shit! Did you die?
I believe we're gonna have to end it after this game. So if you have any like closing points that you want to make,
Oh.
now would probably be the time to do that because my
Um,
internet is committing suicide.
I don't think anybody gives a single fuck about any closing point that I could possibly have, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Hey,
I've already talked enough shit, so if anybody has any gives even slight bit of a fuck about what I have to say, thanks, I guess. I don't know.
man, I honestly believe you and I agree on too many things. We need to start like hosting people we disagree with and having conversations with them.
Sure,
See
yeah,
what
that's
kind of
fine, dude.
conversations we can have.
I know a lot of people that I disagree with on a lot of fundamentals and a lot of material that I would say.
No. That guy you go to work with, get him on here.
Oh, dude, no, he genuinely can't. He's not competent. Like, okay, I say that like there are people that are like not competent, but this dude, I kind of want to touch up on that like real quick, just because of the fact that it's a topic that's like interesting, and it's good to I guess engage in uncomfortable discussions just so we can understand exactly why they're uncomfortable. But basically, yeah, he said that like everybody who's a pedophile, not only if you have just like a sexual preference disorder where like you just have sexual attraction to minors, not even engaging in abuse, but like you have actual just sexual attraction, that's it. They should just all be murdered. We should just like, but basically either one, kill them all or throw them over a cliff or some shit like that. And I'm like, my um, my contention with that was mental health is a lot more complicated than that, and we still don't even understand exactly why we have mental health issues, let alone the mental health issues themselves. So with that said, I think it's a little bit unfair and a little bit jumping the gun to say, all right, we should just murder these people because of something that very well maybe not necessarily like it very well may be an impulse control, and it is like in a lot of cases considered an impulse control issue. All right, let me get this bitch boy.
Yeah, I definitely think the most
Yeah. So
disturbing fact is the fact that that's actually a common belief. The fact that we should just execute pedophiles. That's
yeah,
pretty
they
commonplace.
yeah, it's like it's okay. Here's it's like sure, sure.
Are you trying to tell me
I'm
to
telling
go
him to
here?
get behind the fucking
That's
thing so I can
me.
heal him.
I'm the one who's down.
Oh, I didn't realize it was you. Sorry. Yeah. Um, but yeah. So what he said, because my point wasn't because he thought, and I don't know how he took it this way, because I was very 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 clear, but he thought that I was like trying to say that pedophiles weren't wrong or aren't to be at least still isolated from society because if they're a danger or a threat to children. And that wasn't at all the point I was making. The point I was making was like, all right, maybe we should go to say understand these these clear mental and sexual anomalies, and we should go and understand exactly how they arise because they don't just like there isn't like a genetic factor not that I know of that just makes you want to fuck kids. It's clearly not only evolutionarily, but it's clearly just something that is very much influenced, I guess, probably by your environment and probably by your surroundings and probably by a lot of shit that if we go to understand, we could easily prevent. And I think instead of just hacking off everybody's fucking head that happens to have sexual attraction to minors is not going to solve the problem in the same way of actually learning about the problem and learning how to prevent it initially, because then that'll literally just fix the entire issue. But regardless, I was just saying that yeah, it's a little bit jumping conclusions and you know it's a little unfair. And he basically said I was just defending pedophilia, and then I gave him an actual a psychology journal that was referencing exactly the what pedophilia is, how we understand it, and the significance that it has as far as a mental issue, and a lot of it being related to impulse control and like something similar to like OCD in a way. Like not they're clearly not in the same ballpark, but like in that it's at least similar in that context. So yeah, with that said, like that's all I was saying, and he just of course didn't listen or didn't understand it and just said that I was he literally called me a pedophile advocate and saying that I was trying to say that they're like okay to do what they want and that fucking kids is fine, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, in simplicity, yeah, you just had a knee jerk reaction to something instead of knowing exactly why. And hell, he didn't even know why having sex with a child is wrong. I couldn't even get him to understand why it's wrong. Like that's one thing that was blew my mind is he didn't even know what the fucking answer was.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely weird when you say something's evil and you have all these strong opinions on it, but you don't know why it's evil.
I mean, yeah, because like society is really good in enforcing like emotional knee-jerk responses towards something things that are considered taboos, and for good reason. There are things that are considered taboos for good reason, sure, but like they don't always come with the good reason. They oftentimes are just the feeling alone and the negative reaction that comes with anybody who advocates those sorts of things. So like you like so yeah. With that said, yeah, I couldn't get him to understand that the reason why.
I'm out. I'm so out. I don't have any sniper scope, but I have a sniper.
Don't let him kill me.
He's gonna kill me. I don't know why you're worried.
Right, I'm gonna try and creep behind you.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if we applied that logic to literally any other avenue of mental health. Like, what if we were like, oh, this guy who doesn't understand the concept of being able to hurt someone snapped this kitten's neck by accident. What if we just executed him?
It's like psychopaths, right? They don't have a complex or an understanding of empathy in the way that they need in order to uphold like the social contract. Like they don't understand it, so they very much will cross boundaries because they don't get it. And like this, they genuinely have a. It's not a justification because this is what I try to explain to him: the difference between a justification and an explanation. Because I was trying to explain that why certain things may be and how they may be around, and he took that as like saying that they are what they are and that it's fine, and that's not what it's just absolutely ridiculous. But like we need to understand like why these things are wrong and what the basis is for why we detest them, and we need to advocate that reasoning,
Yeah.
and not just the knee-jerk emotional reactions because that's what gets people murdered.
It seems more like he was just trying to kind of misconstrue your argument into like this weird straw man and then kind of walk around asking other people and then
Oh
paint
yeah,
you as a pedophile advocate to kind of get like the appeal to popularity argument going on.
yeah, that pissed me the fuck off, dude. I was actually really mad about that, man.
Well, yeah, because that's direct defamation of character. He's going around telling people that you
Yep.
advocate for pedophiles.
I would have absolutely pursued legal action if I like lost my job because of that. I would have absolutely done so because I didn't remotely even imply even in the slightest fucking fashion. I probably could have conveyed that same point to an 8-year-old and they probably would have gotten it. So, but basically, like a thing that I actually had like a paper from a scientific journal. No, sorry, a psychological journal that was describing like what pedophilia is and how we should address it and how complicated it is and exactly the manner in which we should try to educate ourselves on and try to address to at least prevent. And it was literally a complete in-depth summary of my entire argument and gave like a very, very, very not just sophisticated, but very good background on what I was saying. And I said, here's literal a journal entry describing what I'm telling you. And he was like, I don't give a shit about that evidence. I don't care. I was like, I don't want to see it. He just literally just said, I don't care about it. And I couldn't believe the level of like the brick wall he put up just because I challenged a position that he had. And I was like, okay, well, if you want to be a dumb cunt and have uninformed opinions and make statements about murdering people because of things you don't fucking understand, then go for it, my dude. But you're not going to get anywhere, and you're sure as hell not going to be considered a fucking intelligent person. Because he, of course, he did the whole, like, fucking, like, high IQ, stupid, like, I went to, I would, he even told me, I don't believe this, but he even told me that, when he was in school, that he got, like, all of his shit right, and like he didn't even have to come to class to learn anything. He would just get like all of his shit, like most everything he would get right, and like he did so well with everything. I'm like, no, you fucking did. No, just no. Like maybe you got good grades, but that it wasn't because you were just a genius or fucking no. You're okay. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a whole team, and we're fucked because we
All right,
have
well,
to
I'm gonna come
run.
up. I'm gonna come up the top and do a little punch. Let's see if I
Fuck it, I'm just gonna go in.
can. Ah! Okay, that didn't work at all. It's
Uh,
fine.
I did
It's
quit.
fine.
But no, how much do you want to bet he's the same kind of person to say that all of Islam is evil because ISIS executes people, but he's
Dude,
actively saying we should execute people?
it's so fucking weird, right? Because like I tell you, man, it almost every time I hear this statement, it almost always goes south. Like he prefaced what he was gonna say with, "All right, I'm not racist," but
Oh my god.
every time I hear that, dude, I'm like, "Oh fuck, here we go." And of course, yeah, it was kind of. I think he said something about oh shit, what was it? I forget the demographic of people he was referring to. Um, fuck. Oh, that's right. He said something about he's not racist, but he thinks that Mexicans should speak English if they are going to come here because he said that English is the official language. And I'm like, nope, nope, there is no official language for the United States. That's not how that works, buddy. And I'm like, I pointed out to him why on a lot of advertisements for warnings and symbols and road signs in certain areas of like high Spanish-speaking populace, they will have like a Spanish alternative or a Spanish translation to whatever it is the advisory or the incredible point, not incredible, the important point that is needing to be made. And there's a reason for that because we live literally in a country that is multicultural and has, well, it's mostly just like the biggest ones are English and Spanish. I'm pretty sure. I think there's yeah, pretty much that. And I tried to explain that to him because he was getting a little prejudicial about the like Mexicans and they should just learn another language, you know, because that's just that easy.
Yeah, it's like my dad and his sisters will often have the talking point of we're in America, but we have to press 2 to speak English. It's like, yeah, because you're not the only people that live in America.
Yeah, it's like where in the Constitution or anywhere does it say that if you don't speak fucking English, then you need to get the hell out of here, or like you can't? Now, I would say it's gonna make it hard to integrate. You're gonna struggle, and it's gonna be like just as much as if I were to go to like, I don't know, let's see, if I were to go to what country is a good example? Fuck, I guess Japan. Like, if I were to go there and just like start wandering around in a kimono like a weeb or something. I don't fucking know, dude. If I was about to do that, I'm gonna have a really hard time talking to people because I don't know their shit. So like, yeah, it's gonna be really difficult. And Sure, and it's going to make it easier to integrate if you go on a way to learn. And I would say it's probably a good idea to do that, anyways, because of course, like a lot of countries, like English is fucking really big. It's not the biggest. I think Mandarin is the most spoken language, or mainly because there's so many motherfuckers in China. uh, but with that said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. But like, no, it's not like you're not. It's not an official language, and you're not going against a standard, or you're not like it's not the same thing as like if I were to go to Japan, for example. It's just really well, actually, if I recall, I actually think that a lot of people in Japan have a decent, at least a simple understanding of English. I actually may be wrong about that. Regardless, you get the point. I don't have to give it necessarily an example.
That actually brings me to something. I know I said we were going to end this soon, but we're touching up on some interesting topics
Yeah,
now.
you're bringing some juice here, some real juice, buddy.
A lot of times they'll say like the problem with immigrants is the fact that they won't assimilate, right? But where the in the definition of immigration, it's literally just moving from one place to another and living there permanently. It doesn't say anything about assimilation being a standard. And then you have people like my dad who constantly talk about how they won't assimilate, but he's married to someone like my mom who is an immigrant who assimilated.
Yeah, it's like, of course, they can't assimilate if, one, it's incredibly difficult to get here in the first place to then try to establish citizenship, and then two, you don't speak the language, which is hard, and like if you can't get, I actually think if I recall correctly, there were programs that may have been defunded that were supposed to give like a basic education on the English language. If I recall correctly, I think that was a thing that happened recently, but I may be mistaken. But yeah, so like, sure, it's going to be difficult whenever the waiting list is like anywhere from like, I think it's like 8 months to 2 years to 5 years and maybe even 10 years for the longer cases. That's a long goddamn time, you know? And sure, it's going to be fucking hard as hell to integrate when you can't even become a citizen in a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, sure, it's going to be fucking difficult, especially when you got people that want to boot you out because you're brown.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that. How can you expect them not to like retreat into tribes and to go against assimilation if the people that they're supposed to be assimilating into constantly tell them how shitty they are just for being alive?
And like, do they even have to like by assimilate? Like, isn't like assimilate in a way just? Wouldn't you want them to just work and pay taxes? Wouldn't that be enough?
No, apparently they have to completely absorb into the culture and become indistinguishable from other Americans. That's the working definition they have for assimilation.
Well, that's ridiculous. Of course, it's like absolutely absurd, and like we wouldn't hold that standard to any other immigrant. It just does. I don't know. Like, God damn it, dude! It just genuinely doesn't make any sense, and there's still a lot of shit that I have to understand because I'm fairly surface level on a lot of immigration and a lot of I guess how the like GDP and exactly how that is affected by immigration and like that, right? And like the positive impact that it has. But from my understanding, even though it may be surface level, it seems to be pretty ubiquitously understood that allowing these people to integrate as far as like citizenship goes and having them registered and having them to be able to get jobs legally and then pay taxes and contribute to the overall economy in general, that's just a benefit. It just seems to be.
Yeah, it's actually it's a point Destiny likes to bring up a lot, weirdly enough, about how
And that fucking makes me self-conscious because this is something I've said before, and I just because I follow Destiny a lot, I feel like even if we even got a following, people will be like, "Oh, you're just fucking parroting Destiny points," and it makes me mad because fucking
good points are good points. It doesn't really matter where they came from. But
people say that shit though, man.
There's two people I want to mention. The first one being Destiny, where he said like, if you value capitalism and you value like the free market economy, why wouldn't you want increasing labor forces to come into your country? So from that standpoint, immigration makes sense. And then there was another YouTuber, a British guy called Sean. I don't know if you follow him. It's like the Sean and Jen channel, but I think his YouTube name is just Sean. But he made a video talking about immigrants, and he said if you're taking like the complete sum of what they take from the government in benefits, compare a natural born citizen to an immigrant. Say that if you lived in America your entire life, the government has had to support you from ages like 1 to like 18 because they've had to pay for your schooling, they've had to help you like subsidize shit so that way your parents could actually get the jobs they're working. So you're a drain on the system as a natural born citizen up until the point that you start working. Whereas an immigrant comes into the country and they're an immediate net benefit because they're paying into small businesses, they're working, they're paying taxes, and they haven't drained the system for nearly as long as you, being a natural born citizen, have.
Yeah, and they're gonna do the jobs that you don't want to do, like the hard labor shit, like those what are they is it blue collar? Those are blue collar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those jobs are the ones that they're going for, and they seem fine with that. It just I don't know, maybe clearly because they probably come from like or they I mean they do they come from a country in which like that hard labor is pretty regular because like it's fucking hard to live anyways, so they integrate pretty well with that. So like what's I really don't, and I'm like I would fucking really want to know the what genuine like depth, and I know that this like as much as we're these are some generally accepted points, there is a lot that is being brushed over and a lot of context that is incredibly important that I do know is at least it's at least good to add that it's far more complicated than we're letting. But it is it's not unfair to simplify it in the way that we have because yeah, it just I just genuinely don't understand the argument that why if you're going to be in favor of a free market capitalist economy or at least like the mixed economy that we have, like why exactly wouldn't you be in favor of like more people integrating more people to pay more taxes so we could I don't know fund more shit like fucking police departments or infrastructure or schooling or some shit like that, right? Which fuck that. I don't know if I even agree with that. The schooling thing.
I'm sorry. I was reading an article.
Oh yeah, I say I don't even know if like I still don't know enough to like really be sure either way. So, and in a way I'm just mainly skeptical, but I don't even know if I'm cool with the being schools being funded by property taxes and shit. And this is just because like I watched a full documentary on redlining because of the and okay, I will at least grant this thing, right? I didn't really understand a lot of redlining until Destiny started talking about it. Okay, so I will at least fucking grant that. So yeah, I went and I watched a documentary on redlining and how they systematically pretty much still oppress and oppressed black people and preventing them from being able to get certain jobs, preventing them from being able to get voting rights, preventing them from being able to buy houses, like the new what was it called, the New Deal? I think that's what it was under part of me really wants to say FDR, but I feel like I'm fucking that because like my presidential history is garbage. But yeah,
Yeah, that was
so
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
yep, okay, then I'm all right. Yeah, so with that said, like, and then there was like the housing crisis where like, and if I recall correctly, I think they like went from these white neighborhoods, these pretty upper middle class white neighborhoods, and like, you guys got to move out, so sell us your houses for this amount for really cheap or something, if I recall correctly, or maybe not really cheap. No, it's like, yeah, that's right. They would sell them, they would sell the houses, or like have the people sell the houses, and then they would flip them to black people for much, much, much more than they were originally worth, which would really be a fucking detriment, especially. So there was that, and then the fact that they made it difficult for you to go and establish voting, being able to vote in certain areas, and I'm pretty sure the whole felon thing, like not being able allowed to vote as a felon, I'm pretty sure that was a lot very much racially motivated. And there's another big one. Fuck. You couldn't pull out loans. Banks would just like straight up deny giving you a loan. And I think with the term redlining comes in, if I recall correctly, they would sanction off areas in a map sort of way, and they would have like green and blue and yellow, and then there was red, and red areas were like deemed as super like dangerous and detrimental and unreliable, and you don't want to have anything to do with those areas because they're just fucked up.
Yeah, they were
And
seen as a financial risk.
right. So then you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do anything as a black person at that time. And yeah, I went and familiarized myself with that, and man, and I don't exactly remember where the fuck I was tying redlining into shit, but holy shit,
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry,
it,
I really need to shut the fuck up sometimes.
it's commonly proposed that even though it was banned, it's still affecting
Yeah.
minorities today. So in a sense, it does tie into what we were talking about. I mean,
Yeah, I think it is implemented on a more indirect level, if I recall. I think they. What's what I do? I know the gentrification thing is kind of shit. I know that like isn't that, if I recall correctly from high school, isn't that the gentrification ultimately they will they will introduce really nice, aesthetically pleasing, or just new businesses in areas to bring in more people, but then that would ultimately raise the property taxes of an already impoverished area, which would fuck over the locals. Isn't that right?
Yeah, basically, what it does is it like you said, it raises the uh, I want to say not I guess you would call it the standard of living, so that way people who have higher incomes move to that area, thus making it to where businesses around that area can raise their prices because there's more of a consumer
Mm.
base, and that
Oh,
just
and that's
drives
right.
lower income people out of the area.
And it would fuck up small businesses like family owned shops and shit, which were like really are really important in those areas. Yeah, it would fuck over those a lot. And that's insane. But yeah, there's a whole lot of shit like that, man. And I like I said, I don't exactly remember how we got in the topic of like of racial inequalities and like systemic um, discrimination on based on race. Like I don't exactly remember how we got on that, but that is a serious topic that's like insane, man. And as a white person, it really living my life, I was grossly ill-informed. Now, granted, my mom lived in California and pretty much like she lived around those people for a long time, and she understood a lot about a lot of the shit that she dealt with. I mean, she literally lived around Crenshaw. Like that's fucked. So she got a taste of what it is to live in those areas. And yeah, I got a little bit of that growing up as far as like being taught about it. But there's so much more, man. There's so much more on the institutional level that I just did not understand, and how black people have just been like systemically and perpetually fucked. And like we literally fucked them up. And not only did we enslave them, but we would murder them even after that, even when they were considered people somewhat, or lower like subhuman, what I really mean. Like Emmett Till, right? He kind of whistled at a white girl and got fucking murdered. But there's that, like, and then there's the civil rights movement that had to happen because these so many fucking social inequalities. Like, so then not only do they not own any capital or have any property or any generational wealth in any way, shape, or form, we now things are getting more like the bar is getting more towards the center as far as equality. It's like not quite there yet. No, I would say it's probably not even super close, but it's still getting better. And with that said, now at the point where it's getting better, we're just like, all right, well, it's time to fucking nut up, buddy. Like, if we like look down at people that live in these impoverished areas as if they could just get up and go, and they just go somewhere else and just improve everything that they do, and like just not have to sell drugs, or just don't commit crimes, or just don't worry about a lot of these things, even though just your education in the area is shit because your property taxes are low as fuck. Like, it's so fucking unreal to me how we could just expect such so much out of a minority of people that we have fucked for generations. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense, dude.
Yeah, it seems like for the most part, people who kind of perpetuate that whole thing's a myth and that there is no systemic inequality in America are normally the people who are benefiting from that inequality, or at
Yeah.
least, or even if they're not like directly doing it, they're a part of a group that the system has been built in order to protect.
Yeah, and I saw in this documentary I watched on YouTube, but I guess I'll link it to you if you want to give it a look. One thing that I thought was actually really interesting that I didn't think about was pretty much like white people have had it good for a really long time, and in a way, being able to live as a white person was kind of like affirmative action, where it just was easier to do things, and you were much more able and much more likely to be supported by things that were meant and implemented by white people for white people. But it wasn't like you just got up and you just hopped into society and you just got a job on your own merits, and you just got an education on your own wits, and you just worked your way up on your own merits themselves. And no, that isn't how it works. And you worked your way up with a little bit of assistance. With Yeah, you worked your way up, but you had to like you had like a step ladder. Like, if you could, like, analogy speaking of like working your way up would be a rope, but you had a step ladder a good portion of the way. It's basically what it is, right? And then like fucking and just to tie into more of that goofy analogy, like it's just like expecting fucking these say it's like a rope and you're just making people climb it, right? And then like black people, the equivalent to that would be you don't have any arms, and you just no arms, maybe no legs too, maybe one leg, so you can kind of grip with one leg and then fall
Yep.
repeatedly.
And
That's basically what.
I think on that depressing ass note, we're gonna call it here.
Oh, hey, that's good. Not like anybody's gonna fucking pay attention to this, and if so, then you're fucked up. You need
Yeah.
help.
This has been another episode of the Critics of Controversy.
The critics of cock in your butt.
Oh God.